Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Monday Market Report. All right, so this is for the week ending September 13th, 2020. So we are just about halfway through September already as we approach closer to the fall season where we have all the holidays. Usually the coin market kind of goes up. And this is more a byproduct of collectors, big-time collectors, coming back into the market, usually after vacation time of the summer. There's always this lull from about end of May to about the beginning part of September. And this year has been anything but the ordinary. There's been a lot of things, of course, that have been going on in the world today, both in the economy and just in the collectibles market altogether. That has kind of bucked the trend for what we're seeing here. So we've seen a not atypical, I guess, kind of like bull market during the summer. And even with everything going on with the virus and all that stuff and unemployment down, we have come to the conclusion that the investors, the people that actually have the money to spend, have been dumping money into some of the safest assets that they could park their money into. And as a result, the coin market has been one of those areas, those asset classes that people are gravitating towards. Now, what I have seen here in about the last 7 to 10 days is we've seen maybe possibly the top of the market. I don't know. The price of silver and gold, you know, silver hasn't crested $30 yet. It's still kind of like in that $26 to $28 range. It's really anybody's guess on whether or not this is simply a just temporary plateau, which September usually kind of indicates a little bit of flattening in the market. Could we be seeing that right now? Okay, there are a few things at work that will certainly play a role. Okay, one thing that I've noticed after doing exhaustive research is we've seen the amount of inventory increase. There's a lot more supply of some of the very desirable collectible coins, whether they're some of the classics like pre-1900 or some of the modern coins that you see on the Monday Market Report today. Again, there's really no indicator to show that there is a tightening of the supply. I think a lot more people are injecting the market with more material. Okay, and we've been seeing a lot of quality stuff. Heritage and Stack's Bowers have some pretty significant auctions coming up here in the next 7 to 10 days. Guys, check it out. The signature auction and then the collector's choice auction are both happening in the next 7 to 10 days. Check it out if you're looking for a good quality coin. But in any event, yeah, we're definitely seeing more supply hitting the market, whether it's on Great Collections, eBay, or through some of the other third-party auction houses. We're operating, I guess, as normal. All right, whether or not the economy has kind of peaked at this point in terms of parking the money into safe assets remains to be seen. All right, so that's something definitely we'll have to keep an eye out on for about the next 30 to 45 days. Usually by around the first week of November, we begin to see kind of like the real money pour into the market, as you would expect during the holidays. So we'll see about that. But anyways, aside from the two big auctions coming up next week, or this coming week rather, we also have all of the sales from Great Collections, which you will see here. These are all coins that are graded post-1900 that we'll talk about. Believe it or not, in the mix, we got the first Salt River Bay 2020 West Point quarter. Finally hit the market. It's actually one of two discovery pieces. How did it measure up? Because we've seen these things just skyrocket once they hit the market. Is it really true? Are we beginning to see some wallet fatigue for the brand new promotional coins? I don't know, but we're going to talk about it here on the video. So let's go ahead and dive right in to the first coin on the list. And as always, very nice quality coins. The Lincoln cents that we have on the list, for the most part, are some of your top-notch, very desirable varieties. Starting with the 1983 doubled die reverse Lincoln cent that you see here. Probably one of the strongest doublings that you will see on the Lincoln cent series post 1959. Okay, especially on the reverse, this is the strongest one you will find. And it's just an overall attractive coin. Okay, at PCGS Mid-State 67 Plus full red, also CAC stickered as well. There's a lot to love with this coin. This one right here sold for $3,150, which, you know, that seems like a lot of money, but we are talking about one of the marquee varieties in the Lincoln cent series. All right, and it's no mistake that this one graded out as high as it did. It's just an overall super investable coin, very liquid, and it's going to continue to rise in price as we see less of these in the market. The next one that we have here is another very distinguishable variety, the 1972 doubled die obverse. This is number 1 out of 10 or 12 or so doubled dies that you could find for the date. This particular example, and this is kind of like an interesting case study as well, is a PCGS Mid-State 66 red CAC certified. Now here's the deal. This coin, not this coin specifically, but this coin in this grade used to sell for about $600 to $700 as recently as about 4 months ago. However, this example here sold for $1,092.38. So obviously this is one of those coins that has greatly increased in value due to the the safe haven investing is what we're seeing. That's what I call it. And you know, again, the coin, it's a very nice grade. It's not the top grade, however, but there's a lot more money being injected into what I consider to be the second rate or the second tier level coins. Okay, this would be one of them. Don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful example with some of the strongest doubling that you'll find on the Lincoln cent, but with this grade level, these have jumped up about 20 to 30% here in the last 90 days. All right, so the next one that we have here, again, another case study type coin. All right, it's the 1955 DDO. It is the beast of the East. This is the strongest doubled die that you will find on the Lincoln cent series, and it's one of the most recognizable too. So much so that counterfeits do exist to this coin. Now, there are a few die markers on the reverse and so on that make it easy to know exactly what you're looking for. However, this one right here, we're not talking about die markers and all that stuff. But again, when it comes to gauging interest in today's numismatics market, you always have to look at one of the bell cows of numismatics, and that's going to be this one right here. Now, it's a PCGS Mid-State 64 red, which I feel like is kind of like threading the needle a little bit. There's some, you know, wood graining and, you know, a few carbon spots on the reverse. This one was awfully close. I figure that if it was any more colorful than what it is right now, you'd probably be looking at a red-brown. However, this is a very strong grade. At this grade level, this example sold on Great Collections for $9,112.50. Again, a testament to how strong the market is. This coin is probably priced about 15 to 20% higher than what it normally is. So it's a very extraordinary sale. All right, so this one right here, again, 1943S. These steel cent one-off type releases are hot, hot, hot. And we're talking about a coin from World War II. That makes it so much more desirable. Now, this one right here, it's not some Mid-State 68. Usually I've been talking about those here for the last few months. But this one, however, is Mid-State 67 Plus. And this one is also a repunched mint mark. So it's a pretty neat variety. This one right here sold for $1,351.12. Very nice coin. Again, you see the potential for what I consider to be the second rate or second tier type group or classification of coins that more money's being injected to, because there's just none of the top grades available. They got scooped up about 30 to 60 days ago, at the beginning of the run-up of the market. All right, so we have a tougher date here. Now, it's not a 31S, as some people would expect. This is a 31D. The 31S is the unquestioned king of key dates for this particular date right here. However, the 31D is no slouch. It's a tough date to find in high grades, primarily because a lot of these coins were circulated quite well. I mean, we are talking a few years outside of the Great Depression age, and even still at this time, it was still the Great Depression. So a lot of these coins circulated, they weren't saved at all, so it's much harder to find one in this particular condition. Now, this one right here, I want to mention, is part of the Bley-Duckler collection. Right, so that's the provenance on this piece. CAC certified. This one sold for $4,050. That's strong money for a coin like this. And then speaking of which, we have a Philadelphia version of the previous coin. This one, of course, a lot more radiant, a lot more red, and just a shade higher on the grade value. This one's a mid-state 67 full red. And this one sold for $2,025. A very strong coin. It could go into an investment, portfolio or into a registry set. Okay, it really doesn't make any difference because this is a premier coin for the day. Now here's one you don't usually see. Okay, anything post like 1985 on the list has to be quite strong to make it onto the Monday Market Report. What we have here is a 1997 Philadelphia Jefferson Nickel. This one grades out PCGS mid-state 67 full steps. I guess the real reason why this one is on here is it did sell for a nice chunk of money. But this is obviously going to go into one of those esteemed registry sets on PCGS or NGC. Someone had the need for this, and so did a few other people. When bidding and the war stopped, this one sold for $1,012.50. All right, so we have a 1964J nickel. This one is a PCGS mid-state 67. Okay, notice I didn't say full steps. Okay, it's I mean, there are a few steps on Monticello, on the reverse, or Monticello, however you want to pronounce it. However, this one, it wasn't strong enough to have full steps. However, it is a nice grade, and people still do pay some sort of money for premium quality coins, even though it doesn't have the strike designation. This one right here is sold for $839.25. So it's just proof positive that you don't necessarily have to go after the strong steps or the strong full bands or, full bell lines or whatever the case may be. You could aim to collect or aim to grade coins that show significantly less wear or nicks or anything on them. This is an extraordinarily clean looking example, and that's why it sold for the amount of money it did. All right, so we do have a full steps nickel here. It's a 1959D. Okay, it's one of the tougher dates, so there's a little bit of scuffing on the actual plastic of the holder, so I can't really tell too well how good the steps look. I mean, it has to be good enough for PCGS to assign full steps designation, but the scuffing on the slab cover actually obscures my personal view of what I see here. Now, this one right here sold for $1,136.25. More than likely, it's going to go into a registry set. All right, so this is a pretty nice looking nickel. Again, really, I mean, this one's not a full steps either, but it does have a few things going for it. Okay, first and foremost, it's a 1949 D over S. This is an over mint mark, also in the Cherry Picker's Guide. This is a really neat variety to look for. Any over mint mark in any denomination or any coin is very collectible. Okay, more so than repunched mint marks. And probably just a shade under double the dies. So this one right here is a mid-state 67 through PCGS. Okay, the steps are not sharp at all. They got a lot of weakness and a few nicks. But again, the overall quality of the coin with a little bit of toning on both sides. This was probably a album coin at one point. But this one right here sold for $1,307.25. So again, aim for the other options, looking for high quality coins, regardless if they have the strong steps or not. And then, of course, the over mid-mark variety certainly adds a lot of appeal to this coin. All right, so on this one is just amazing. Okay, I have to be ultra critical to the actual step appearance. This one looks okay. However, the toning is fantastic. Wherever it came from, it could have been an album, could have been an old envelope for a number of years, but it really doesn't matter. This one is a PCGS Mid-State 67 Plus full stepper. It is also QA certified, but it is a gold sticker QA, which is their premium upscale kind of like designation for the grading assignment on this. Now this one right here with the toning sold for $1,244.12, and I love this coin. I have a few examples of coins similar to this, but this one is really nice with the gold tones and the pinks. It highlights a whole new level of collectability. And just an overall target for, anyone that wants this type of coin. Same here with this one. And again, not a full steps coin. However, it is the first year date of Jefferson Nickel. It's a 38D. All right, so the D does add a little extra element of kind of challenge when you're looking for a premium quality coin, much like this. Again, it looks like it probably came from an album. Okay, it has kind of that, golden yellow toning that you would expect on this one. Mid-State 68. Not playing around. That's a huge score on this coin. This one sold for $1,296. So I would venture to guess that this is going to be a registry set coin, regardless of whether or not it has full steps. It's just a really nice first year date Jefferson. And we do have a couple dimes, starting out with a 1948D Roosevelt. Now again, I've talked about one of these last week. This one right here is just incredible, okay, with all the original toning that takes years, if not decades, to build up on a coin. And it really depends on the environment too, but when it comes out looking like this is a coin with all the eye appeal in the world that will suck in some pretty, I don't know. It says suck in some buyers, that's for sure. And you get like 4 or 5 people butting heads on who owns this one, then you're going to see the prices go up tremendously. Now this one is a PCGS Mid-State 67 Plus full bands, and it's also a gold QA certified coin. This one right here also is part of Sunset 121 Providence on Great Collections, and this one sold for $2,137.50. That's quite a bit of money for a Roosevelt dime. We generally don't see those kind of strong prices unless the coin is an absolute knockout, which this one is. All right, so we got Mercury Dime, but this time it's a very common date example, 1942. However, it's very clean. PCGS Mid-State 68 full bands. Most of them are full bands. These things were very well struck. It's just finding one that doesn't have a lot of scuffs, bag marks, that sort of thing, which again can be a challenge. This one right here, Mid-State 68 full bands, it sold for $4,050. Tremendous, tremendous buy. It's a top pop coin, of course. But if you can't afford the 1916Ds or 21s and some of the tougher dates, I mean, you can't really go wrong with a top pop later date. And then finally, we are going to end it off on a National Park quarter. Okay, this time it's going to be the first recorded sale of a first discovery Salt River Bay quarter. Okay, I've done a few of these, and we've seen them come up on Great Collections here in the last 12 to 18 months. So this 2020 West Point right here has been out for a few months. Okay, we got the 4th installment coming out any day now. But it's worth mentioning that this one did sell. Based off of previous sales records, I mean, we've seen some really strong sales numbers. We've seen coins sell for, $3,500, $6,000, $5,600, just to name a few of some of the earlier releases from like 2019. So does this coin, because of what it is, still stack up to the values of those previous ones? Well, not quite. All right, so this is a first discovery, one of two. There was only 2 examples that came into PCGS headquarters as a first discovery. Okay, whereas on previous releases, they've seen 4, they've seen 6 come in on the first day, and they've had to split the bounty. So this one right here, as you guys know, has the V75 privy mark on the obverse. This one right here, Mid-State 64, not the strongest grade, but for a first discovery, this one sold for $1,743.75, which, don't get me wrong, that's still a lot of money. But if we're kind of following the historical data of pricing of these quarters, the first discoveries, when they're being sold, it falls greatly off the mark. Now, the real question is, I want you guys to think about this. Does that make this a huge bargain? Will this be a coin that, say, in 5 years or 10 years could be worth a lot more money because there's only 2 known first discoveries of this coin? I don't know. I really don't know how these coins are going to trend. And another thing to keep in mind, how is the Mint going to continue to utilize a circulation rarity idea? Are they going to continue to crank out quarters through the West Point Mint after the National Park Series is done? I don't know. But if the market becomes diluted with other West Point products that go into circulation, we might even see these things slip even further down. I don't know. But history indicates that that might be the case. And that's something that if you guys were interested in buying either the first discovery coins or the first week of discovery at a top pop grade, just use caution, because a lot of these were sent to PCGS and NGC. There was a lot of graded material out there for the West Point quarters. So anyways, that's going to go ahead and do it for this one. Nice and short, and that's mostly because there wasn't a whole lot else to talk about. With the medium to large sales coming up through Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers, great collections that's kind of curved back on the actual listings of some like higher profile, bigger coins, and that's what we see. So anyways, I'm your host, Sean, excuse me, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and that you guys have a wonderful Monday. Don't work so hard, and take it easy. You guys stay safe out there. As always, like, share, subscribe, hit that bell for instant notifications. And Coinaholics, we are discovering together. Would love to hear what your guys' thoughts are on today's report. I should be able to do a few kind of like snippets of things that occurred during both the Heritage and the Stack's Bowers sales. If anything substantial happens, I'll let you guys know as far as realized sales. So I want to thank you guys again. Thank you for all the views and support. I will see you guys next time. You guys take care, and happy collecting.